Music has been a source and a space where I can be creative when I am most authentic to what I actually feel. Whether I have a hit record or not, I have to believe that it's about something other than just a moment.
It's your first solo album in 8 years. Was it always the intention to take that kind of time, or is that just life?
Life.
Life is what it's all about. It's what inspires the music. It's what pushes somebody to want to do something new. Usher has been pushing himself for 30 years and finds himself only now taking to the world's biggest stage. To be a Super Bowl halftime show headliner requires ultimate dedication and focus. There is no time to reflect after the big show for Usher, only time to get married and talk about the future.
So I'm walking you into kind of the space that I like to create in. I normally like find a building.
Yeah.
And this one actually was really great. Cashman, a complex, they have like stadium space where the baseball field in the back, got an entire theater here. I think when they were working out Hamilton, they kind of came in here and did some work. There's sometimes stage plays, but I turned this into like a studio. So you see all my gear, all of my drums and keyboards. So we just kind of produce, and we've been working on the sound here.
For the tour?
We actually haven't even started on music for the tour.
Wow.
But everything that I wanted to do for Super Bowl required live instrumentation. So I really wanted to make it like great and work through every detail. So we took it into a theater. We literally played it in here, so we'll have the past, present, future kind of idea.
And you have the natural reverb and you have the essence of what it's going to feel like.
But the essence, the whole idea of the performance was to represent past, present, and future. Past because of the celebration of all the music and the intimacy throughout the years, those moments that only my fans would know about. The present, given the fact that we've had this success in Las Vegas and, at 101 shows, 100 shows sold out from the residency between Dolby Live and Caesar's Palace. Now I leave this Las Vegas experience with the biggest crescendo ever, playing the Super Bowl.
Back on the
into
stage.
the future. Now I'm getting ready to get to the next level. I gotta start preparing for it, the tour, you're right. But this is the kind of environment I like to create in.
I feel it's a beautiful narrative for us to dive in. We've never actually, I feel like in a way we've been building up to something like this because we've had enough virtual conversations.
Yeah.
We've done stuff in the studio, it's been great, but to be able to just sit down on a couple of flight cases.
Cases, man.
With your name on the side.
Yeah, man.
I always think that must be one of the greatest moments in any artist's career when someone calls you up and shows you a picture or just brings you in a room and you see your name on the side of a flight case. Not just because it represents the fact that you're building infrastructure around your talent, your passion, but because these things are about to travel.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, my name is about to travel. Where is this gonna go? Where hasn't this been, right? It's a crazy thing.
Where I'm renting these, it's actually in tape, you know what I'm saying? These have gone nowhere. Actually, they're gonna go somewhere though, Birth. You know what?
They don't let the truth get in the way of a good story, man. That's just sitting in the song. It has an emotional resonance to it. You're like, I don't fucking know. This thing costs $30 an hour.
Yeah, man. Shit, we rent these joints. No, but something about, you're right. Something about the texture of these cases, they remind us of the live experience and how important that is.
Yeah.
Something about being in an environment where you actually do the thing inspires me. That's why, I built the entire Super Bowl stage in the other room, which I'm gonna show you before you leave. But to be able to be here where I have performed for my audience throughout the years, I get the feeling. It's not just about going in the studio in the booth. By the way, I have that booth that I travel everywhere with where I record any vocals and stuff. And my engineers, they're over there and they recording.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've never seen that before. I've never seen a
never
vocal
seen
booth
the booth.
sitting on a stage like this. It's like Doctor Who.
It's like Tim and Ted's world. You know what I'm saying? Like you walk through this door and like you walk through an entire dimension. You know what I'm saying?
What the hell?
Yeah, this is my booth.
Oh my God, you just go in here and it's like, hey, I need to redo some vocals because I think this could be better this way or whatever. I'm just gonna figure this out and let's go in and create and then just play it back.
It's probably less expensive than, all of the studio sessions. I mean, especially if you have like an environment like this where you can just be creative. Yeah.
It's such a simple addition to the experience, but I've never seen anyone bring it to the stage just to capture it. You must just be here, you must have an idea or think something, just go in there and get it done.
I create a world wherever I am that represents the thing that I need, right? This is the musical side of it. And there's the other side of it, which is health and wellness. I got like an entire health and wellness suite back there that's got a jacuzzi, it's got a cold dip, it's got an infrared sauna, it's got a space to work with, my trainers where we're working on my body. making certain that I'm, ready. I skate out there. I have more than enough space to just stay in my zone.
Well, health is wealth, man. I think hopefully that's something we're figuring out as a species, is that we get pulled into all the stuff, but health is wealth. Really.
Health is wealth, and affirmations come by way of your belief. Our belief systems are either, the idea that we have a thought, that in some way becomes a belief. And then that belief leads to a pattern that either tells you you're gonna go one way that may be perceived as negative or positive, but that pattern becomes a lifestyle. This lifestyle is what's accommodating to how I create. So I am always looking for the space to do so. In Cashman Complex, they really did a great job of preserving this place to be able to welcome people like myself. And I've even brought people in here and had listening sessions, you know what I'm saying? Like literally played the music just to really get the feel, because it's not just hearing it, it's also to being immersed in it. And that's the one thing that Vegas offered me. It offered me an opportunity to bring people closer to my music.
To have an immersive experience.
Because we lost that nuance in some way, right? We've lost the nuance because everything is quick release. Or my version of it, I heard it was inspired, but I chose to make this. But wait a minute, what about the artists and where they were going?
Well, we've also lost to some degree that sense of, and this isn't for every artist and for every fan, but a lot of times, especially when quarantine, everything opened up again, it felt like everyone was out on the road.
Yeah.
And then as a fan, it's hard to pick and choose what I'm gonna do. I want to go to all of it, but I can't afford it, or I don't have the time, or this. By doing the Vegas experience, you encourage people to come to you, arms open, ready to have an experience, an event. You eventized the Usher experience away from like this arena in this town, this arena in this town, and reset that for you to be able to go back and do it your way.
Yeah. Well, luckily, there was an audience that I've been building over 30 years that was willing to get on a plane, come to Las Vegas and treat themselves, and allow me to curate an experience that hopefully they would remember. I've only heard about the stories of what Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack and all of them did in those times, and even the history of some of the areas that were very close to this. I don't know if you know about the Moulin Rouge, which is an integrated casino that allowed Black performers to be able to perform and also to fraternize and be social with the people who they were performing with. That place is right down the street. So I'm inspired not just by this place, but the idea that we can create with no bars in this time. So I came to Las Vegas and just tried everything that I wanted to try. Got a little bit of history that said, man, this city has completely turned into something else where our culture is respected, our culture is celebrated. I now see R&B artists now making their way here in a different way. Not to say that there haven't been R&B artists that came before, but it's respected in a different way, especially when you have 100 sold out shows. It says, oh, wait a minute, there's an audience that has been underserved. And so long as you can give them something that is worth their time and their money and their investment, then great. But I just opened my mind, man, and I said, I want to try all the things that I've always wanted to do, and I want to represent all of the people whom I felt came to this city and did amazing things, whether it was Sammy Davis Jr., whether it was Bill Cosby, whether it was Flip Wilson, whether it was the Jackson 5, any of those people who decided to come here and the Jackson 5 had a variety show back here, you know what I'm saying? So this to me seemed like a place where I could spread my wings. I talked to you about the fact that I'm an independent artist now, so I don't have to necessarily do things the exact same way that I've done them my entire 30-year career. I can now be a new artist and just imagine. And when you do that, you pay it forward, you invest in your idea, this can happen. So I'm hoping that this gives hope to that 40-year-old artist or that I'm 45 years old, right? 45-year-old artist who it's like, well, how am I gonna make a hit record? Man, just invest back into the thing that you love. If you have fans and you dedicate yourself to creating something that brings them into your experience, hopefully they'll come. Hopefully they'll support you. Hopefully they still are there.
That's the key. I think that is 100% the secret that you figured out, which was getting yourself out of that rhythm of album, tour, and by tour I mean where am I and what arena is this and who sponsors it and where am I going? All of that is really important, and it's a great way to connect with fans, and it's revenue and it's part of the structure. But it is a cycle. And getting back to what you've been saying, that idea of it's about connection. It's always been about connection between the art and the fan, the musician and the fan. And you were able to really meaningfully reconnect with your audience, which then instills in you, surely, that purpose of like, I have more to say, more to do. Was there a moment before Vegas where even you were questioning what the future felt like? Not whether you would continue to do it, but just what it was.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think all of us do. And there's kind of a time stamp on how successful you will be and for how long until you get to that place where you begin to pivot. You either go into other industries or you try to find other ways to be able to provide for your family. Yeah, I thought about all of those things. But music has been a source and a space where I can be creative when I am most authentic to what I actually feel. And rather that's curating, discovering, and developing artists, curating and developing in collaboration with other people around, ideas, be it producing things. I've never allowed myself to feel as though, the standards that were for everyone else applied to me. Because, whether I have a hit record or not, I have to believe that it's about something other than just a moment. If it was love between us and we managed to create something, a connection fan to artists, then you're gonna take this journey with me. You are taking this journey with me. When I was 18, maybe you were too. If I was 18, you were 13 or you were 12. And now that I'm 30 years old, now you're growing older, your experiences are different. So now 40 years old, it's like, oh my God, there's a person who feels exactly the way that I do in terms of telling their story. So me being able to still share it and knowing that there's an audience in music that is ready and, available to receive what I have to offer, I'm grateful, man. But though there are those things, those roadblocks that could be there for yourself, I just never allowed myself to look at any glass that had water in it as half empty. I always decided to say it's half full. And if I just put a little bit more time in it, maybe I can get it to the rim. You know what I'm saying?
The cup floweth over right now, man. It's a beautiful thing. I mean,
I'm working on it. You know what I'm saying?
You're working for sure.
I don't want a cup. I want a jug. You know what I'm saying? Give me a jug. I want to take whatever has been in that cup and like empty it and put
Big's
more
one of
water
my
in
favorite
it.
songs on the album. I should have seen that coming. I think about how special stages are. Let's just go back, like way back for a second. That idea of a young person stepping on a stage, getting a taste of that experience for the first time. What it is to step on wood in a shape, in the direction of an audience and feel something.
Yep.
Can you take yourself back to what it was like the first or one of the first times you really felt at home on a stage?
Yeah, I mean, I can. God bless my Uncle George. He built me my first stage. I was raised primarily by elderly people. So after school, I would go to my aunt and my Uncle George's house. So he was an encouraging man. He loved to build with his hands. He was always working in the backyard. And he said, well, son, if there's anything that you really want, I'll build it for you. And I was like, I want a stage. And he was like, okay, I'm gonna build you a stage. He built me a little platform stage. And I'll never forget stepping on that thing and there's nobody in the backyard, but I just felt like I'm activated because I'm standing at this high position and I get a chance to enjoy myself and shock people. Look at me. Look at what I can do. I couldn't dance or any of that stuff. I probably couldn't even sing. But the reality is I just felt like I got something special in this moment.
Yeah.
And then I think it was the auditorium at Dalewood High School in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'll never forget seeing this group called The New Beginning, of which I ended up being in that group, perform. And I was like, there it is. That's what I want to do. I want to perform for an audience because I saw how the audience reacted to what they were doing. They were tumbling, they were flipping, they were singing, they were dancing, they were positive. They weren't like the things that I was looking at outside, gangbangers, issues with family. It wasn't any of those things. It's like a positive outlet. And I was like, yo, that right there is something that makes sense. That stage, that's similar to that little stage that I had.
Yeah.
But it also too was an opportunity to make people feel something from what you do. And I felt like, hey, if I work hard like that, I could make people enjoy what gift I think I now have recognized. I sing songs on the radio, but imagine if I could sing those songs on that stage to them and make them feel something.
I'm glad you mentioned work hard enough. Because I think it's one of those things when people see people succeed in entertainment or in the arts, The language is always your dreams came true. Cool, of course the dreams came true, but there's no substitute for the work that you put in to get it done.
Yeah, man, if you really want great results, then you have to be willing to push yourself. There has to be no limit that you're not willing to push yourself to. I'm motivated by incredible, iconic leaders like Michael Jordan. You know, I've only heard how much of a tyrant he was, but I look at the success that he was, and I don't look at just his wins. I look at the moments where he declined, came back, and then pushed through.
Yeah.
I look at the games that he lost, but how hard he played. I look at the fact that he wanted to raise the standard, and as a result of how hard he worked, he goes down as the greatest basketball player of all time. Those are the people whom I've been motivated by. I'm motivated by people like, you know, Ali, you know, not just his political stance, but also to how unwavering he was and unapologetic, how he would say shit that other people would have been killed for. You know, Jack Johnson, not being able to really articulate us. Back in those times, they didn't even have film where you could talk, right? But just seeing the defiant, this man who had to go into these rings and fight and defend himself, but he was breaking through a standard. This man, gold teeth, it's not what you would think that a boxer would look, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You know, Michael Jackson, these people who were defiant in creating a new standard, being motivated and inspired by great performers of the past, like Jackie Wilson,
James
Brown. You know, all of those people, they were trying to change. Little Richard, changing a standard, changing the viewpoint of how you Prince, you know, Marvin Gaye, right? Coming through a system and an idea. People like that became inspirational to me because I knew I would have this arc in my life where I would have ups and downs. But just like them, they didn't allow it to determine who they were. Yeah. They continued to stay consistent. And as you said, you know, really have an incredible work ethic and discipline to become recognized and celebrated for what they did.
I mean, all the artists in that list, all the human beings in that list have got to a point either in their life now or moved on, passed on.
Yeah.
Meaning that it really is legend and legacy that we all learn from now.
Yep.
Stories, performances, archive. You actually are at a point in your life where you got to connect with some of these people. You got to be around the genius.
Yep.
Prince.
Yep.
Michael Jackson.
Yep.
James Brown.
Yep.
3 of the greatest performers of all time, greatest artists of all time, and 3 artists that you got to connect with.
Yeah. I put Luther in there because he was special.
Luther's very special.
Magical, you know. And he also, too, had a great sensibility about storytelling in the way that he sang.
Can I just go through, because it's very rare I'm going to sit opposite somebody at the prime of their career who can actually reflect on those artists, not just an archive. Mm-hmm. Can we just talk about those experiences or even just some learnings you took from that or what it was to be around those people?
Yeah. You got to add Stevie Wonder in there too, by the way, because some of the funniest shit I ever experienced happened with Stevie. That dude, I believe he can see. He has some of the greatest ears that I've ever heard in my life, but hanging out at his house and him listening to me rant about things that I'm, you know, just dealing with. And it's just like, he was like the uncle that I always wanted to have. But anyway, you asked about Michael Jackson, and being able to be around him in New York City just before, it was 9/10, the day before 9/11. We performed at Madison Square Garden doing the, I think, 30th anniversary of the Jackson 5, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And I never forget, like, he wanted me to want to be starting something. And I'm like, all right, cool, got it, great. And they're like, okay, one thing, last thing, but you got to wear this. I'm like, what do you mean? I can't wear what I want to wear? They're like, no, he wants you to wear this. The dude put me in a fur top and like leather pants with my chest out and my stomach all, and I was like, Michael Jackson wants me to wear this and he wants me to tumble in the air. They're like, yeah, that's what he wants you to do. I'm like, all right, that's cool. Yeah. That's fine. You know, but if you look back at it, it's really funny. Yeah. It looked like we were in a jungle. But that was his creative. Nonetheless, we ended up working in a studio where the majority of the dancers and performers were there, and we did a run through. And every take, I would sing at the top of my lungs. He was like, "You're singing?" Like, "Yeah, of course. This is preparation." He's like, "That's really hard to do. And I respect your talent. That is a very hard thing to do. That is not easy." Like, "I know. I got it from you." After the performance, we met up and just kind of hung out. He gave me this really, really cool piece from the Victory Tour. He, as just a gift, he wanted me to have it. I seen this jacket in this closet. I was like, "Yo, can I get that jacket?" He's like, "No, you can't have that." But yeah, I'd ask. Of
course you gotta ask.
Of course. If you don't ask, you don't know. You know, and then a few times of being able to check in and out with him throughout his life, phone conversations where we would just talk about, you know, an idea. We talked about an idea working together. When he had philanthropic concepts and ideas, he wanted me to come to New York City, a giant stadium, and be on stage with him for a philanthropic thing that he had. But it was a celebration of his music as well. Just a lot of fun. Never quite made it to Neverland. But, you know, he was just always a fantastical kind of dude, and always created like an experience wherever he was. You just felt his energy. And I picked up on that, which is part of the reason, as I said, when I work, I like to be in environments that actually speak to what I'm trying to create, as opposed to trying to conjure an energy and do it. I try to be there. It's a bit of an investment, but it's worth it. And that's what I decided to do for my fans. I do that so that it's authentic for them. Prince. Hung out with Prince once. Believe it or not, I was one of the few artists my age to perform at Glam Slam early on. This was back when, you know, I was trying to figure out who I was, where I was, promoting my first album. Got a chance to perform at his club. And this thing used to be packed to the rim. I mean, people everywhere. I'm trying to figure out how the fuck am I even in here? I was of age, but just of age. But no, it was cool because I was almost like accepted into this world, and they didn't see me like a little kid.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget performing for an audience, by the way, that knew none of my songs, but I managed to get them aroused and get them into this performance.
Yeah.
And I look up, and like about where those lights are there, I see him in the corner of my eye, and he's just looking down like this. And as I'm doing my performance, I can see him like just clapping. He's not up there with anybody. He's literally watching me. And the audience is here, and I can just see him. Yo, I know that's Prince up there. I run out to say, "Yo, what's that Prince?" He's like, "Yeah, he's up there in the white suit." I'm like, "Yo, that's crazy." Later on in life, we met at his house. will.i.am was there. I think Justin Timberlake was there. Tons of people. It was an industry party at his house. He used to have these parties at his house, but he didn't party with us. So he's literally like sitting at his dining room table, and I managed to like jimmy myself. Like the dining room table is probably just about as big as the room, and the chairs are so tight, so I'm trying to inch over there to get close. So I sit down and we talk, and he's like, "You know, man, I really respect what you're doing." I was like, "Nah, I'm one of your biggest fans in terms of, you know, but why have we ever not done a record? Why haven't we done a record together?" He kind of chuckled, and I was like, "Man, you the shit." You can't curse in my house.
Yeah, he wasn't a fan of that.
I was like, "Okay, my bad. I just want you to know how I feel about you, man. I really think that you're an amazing artist." He's like, "Yeah, the walls start to shake." I was like, "The walls literally start to shake." He's like, yeah, it's just the vibrations are bad. So I started to understand, oh, wow, this is about something more than just music. There's a vibration, an idea of what you're doing, and the artist is completely in it, which is probably why he was away and didn't want to be, you know, in it.
Acutely sensitive to
Yeah,
changes.
man, but he
in energy
wanted
field.
to have, you know, and maybe there was this conflict in some way between, you know, his religion, his beliefs, because he was a, you know, Jehovah's Witness, but he loved to have the energy there. And sometimes that conflict can be a lot for us, you know, the reality of who we are and what we love versus what we think or what we serve, and not wanting to be bad or inappropriate.
Yeah.
But I was just like, yeah, man, you know they fucking downstairs. No, I'm just saying, it's cool. I just put in your crib. I'm sorry.
The walls cave in.
I just want you to know it's gonna be an earthquake out here. You know what I'm saying? No, but that's my Prince story. Who else did you ask me about?
James Brown.
James Brown.
And the reason why I brought up these three is because I can't think of anybody who's performing on a stage as big as you with a new album coming out and a sold-out tour that's here that got time with these. I mean, that's triumvirate right there.
Yeah. Yo, man, to be seen by those people and given the time and their presence to hear what they had to say to me, or either what they offered just being who they were, was so helpful, because it really did inform my understanding of what legacy not only looks like, but what you do to preserve legacy. And sometimes it's a very hard place to be because it feels lonely. But God doesn't make mistakes, and sometimes he does ordain those who have to walk a path that is sometimes very singular. And if you manage to find good people that you can have around you and you can honestly, authentically be who you are, then it's good. I try my hardest to keep family close. Family matters to me more than anything. I told you about coming home. The idea of that even being a part of what it is.
Oh, we're going there in a second.
Life has changed.
Did you feel seen by James Brown?
I felt seen by all of them, but really seen by James Brown. So in the process of preparation for our performance at the Grammys, by the way, I didn't win Album of the Year that year, and I'm still a little like, man, I don't know if there's been an album that has actually sold as many or either been as influential as that album has been. Even Rolling Stone said it, but it did not win Album of the Year.
Grammys.
That's cool.
See
I'm
Grammys,
cool.
artists still care.
Yeah, of course. I mean, but artists do care. Artists care.
Artists care.
And I'm happy to see the progress that they are making, and but it doesn't change the fact that we have feelings, and we have lived in a time where you're supposed to be poised and conduct yourself in a certain manner. But I think when you finally get to the age where you're like, hey man, love it or hate it, this is how I feel. Whether you choose to do something for history, not just for me or these young artists, that's good, but do you do things for history? I did. I did that day because I think that it was important that the world saw James Brown. Did he win a Grammy up until that point? Did they see him? Did they know him? Did they recognize and celebrate him? Do they understand the value of who he is and why all of us are listening to hip hop in the way that we are, and listening to music and understand what the one is and understand what funk is, and the fact that funk created such an incredible, genres of music? Nah, I wanted to share that stage with him. But in preparation for that show, there I am, I'm killing myself on every take, you know what I'm saying? We running back and forth with the band, the dancers are there, and I got my Air Force Ones on, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going ham. I'm like falling over. He comes over to me, hey son, you need to get you some shoes. You need to get you some hard bottoms. Like, what? Yeah, man, you're gonna break your ankle, son. So I'm like, okay. So from that day forward, I've realized, oh, wait a minute, if you really want to get off, you got to have a bit of a hard bottom.
Yeah, you have to.
I still get off in my sneakers, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, that was a really great one. Another thing he always told me, he said, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I took that mantra from him. And
I feel like that's where we are today. I feel like you've stayed ready all the way through. We touched on that, and I appreciate those stories. Everyone will love hearing those. And it brings us up to this moment right here, which over the course of your life leads you to a really important album.
Yep.
It's your first solo album in 8 years.
Yep.
We spoke on A. I love A. I love the energy of A. I love you and Zaytoven together.
Yeah.
But I think you knew as well as he did that it wasn't an Usher album. It was like the two of you. This feels very much like a classic Usher moment. I texted someone in your camp about that yesterday. I was like, this is a classic Usher album.
Yeah.
Was it always the intention to take that kind of time? Or is that just life?
Life definitely had its moment with all of us. The 6 years of, the 5 years or 6 years, walking up on me like that, dog. The 5 or 6 years that it took to make this album wasn't because it was just like a consistent, in your mind about every song. No, it was a stop and a start.
Yeah.
The pandemic, I was working with Mark Pitts from RCA at the time. And, we worked for years and years. So, I was just trying to really figure out how to tell my story. And no, it wasn't always positive. And no, I wasn't always positive. As you say, the preparation, being prepared, became very tough at, the end of my relationship with RCA, where I would then have to really pick up all of the pieces and trying to figure out how to do this. But I didn't run. I stayed in the studio. I would come and go. Some very, very hard things happened. I had accidents in my life with my son, divorce with my ex-wife, just trying to
Real
find
life.
myself, real life. Life had other plans while I was living it through, right? And thinking that I was running it in the right direction. No. We all thought that we had it together until the pandemic hit. But then we're going nowhere, doing nothing, and have to figure out what really matters and how to survive in this moment. But I use the music to at least hold some of those very valuable gems that had happened in my life. And, now I'm ready to share. I did understand that when I, put out the A project, that it was a buffer, it was a moment. And I was hoping to come back with an album really quickly after that, but I just didn't feel like I wanted to. I didn't feel like it would be respected, it would be recognized, and I would be received in the way that I think would speak to who and what I feel I represent.
If you go through your album titles and if you presented that list of album titles just almost like its own narrative before we even press play on any of them, you're so honest. They're all so honest, looking for myself. Like, clearly you were searching for some new inspiration there, and the album reflects that. Hard to Love. I mean, it's not lost on anyone that that's where you left off for a while.
Yep.
In order to get to Coming Home, which has a very positive sentiment to it, a sense of like, hey, I've done some work and I like where I stand as a human.
Yeah.
When you look back on Hard to Love now, what were you writing about and singing about subliminally at the time that now is far more clear to you on that record?
Me owning my mistakes in life, or just coming to grips with the way I felt about myself, even though my audience may have not necessarily felt that way. I remember playing songs from the album, and I would play it for people who were real fans of mine. Trying to understand where this is coming from. It was my own personal conflict that I was going through. And that's the way I felt. I felt that I was hard to love, and it could have been because of me trying to figure out what really mattered in life. It was a lot of self-reflection that went on in that. It was a lot of decision-making in that, singular decisions that I made on my own that had nothing to do with anyone else's advice or anyone else's opinion. And it caused me to really, really look deep and then take ownership of some of the things that I felt, but I'm worth it, is what I would say. Like, I might be hard to love, and you might go through a lot in us being together. Listen to these songs and understand what it means.
Yeah.
It can feel like a merry-go-round sometimes.
So in some respects, that was your Confessions. Because Confessions is such a remarkable masterpiece of modern R&B and soul writing. It's so deep and so personal. But were they even your confessions, half of them? Do you know what I mean? Like, it feels like, was that your narrative?
It was a collective narrative of men. So if we were to sit around and have a conversation about some of the things that we deal with in our relationships, some of the things that we deal with as men, being vulnerable and not necessarily having an outlet. I don't know how comfortable you feel talking to a therapist, but I, at that time, didn't.
I love it.
But at that time,
Yeah.
I didn't. And by the way, as a black man, I was always taught to bury my feelings and not really share what I feel, because somebody would use it against me if I did. So I'm not going to let you get too close. You are, somebody that could be lovely, but you're a bit of a, I got to keep a little bit of a distance. So there was a great deal of mistrust and maybe generational scarring that I had to, begin to unwind. I would hope that all of these albums would be perceived in success the same way that Confessions was. Was Hard to Love Confessions? No, I think that it had a little bit more wider bandwidth, because I spent that time sitting with our guys, having what was therapy sessions and talking about what we were going through. And we could all talk about it. We could all literally say, well, this is the part I understand. Man, what happened? Man, wow, that's crazy.
So you could see the growth from Confessions, which was the hope of something like that, right through to the actual
the reality
experience. Yeah.
The reality of it. The belief came within, this idea that we can fix things by finding other ways to avoid trauma.
Yes.
right? Oh, let me go get a partner and I'm not going to really deal with these issues. Oh, let me go and find this person who I can be different than what I am because, you know, you won't accept me the way I am and I can't really deal with these issues and I don't know if I can share it with you, or maybe if I choose to share it with you, oh shit, you're going to use it against me. Oh, damn, I shared that with you. You tried to use that against me. Okay, cool.
This is the thing, right? You write these songs about relationships and all of their different nuances so well. It's one of the reasons millions of people listen to your music, to try to better understand themselves and how they can be better or be kinder to themselves. And yet it doesn't make it any easier to honor your own relationships in real time.
Correct. It makes it easier to articulate what you feel sometimes because maybe a song is like a good book and it says, well, I can see myself in this character. I can see myself in the narrative that's being told and being shared. And maybe I could take a different approach. Or maybe that is me. And maybe I found the solution as the voyeur looking at this person's life as the audience member. Just go left. Just go left. And it's like, no, tell yourself, go look in the mirror. Just go left. You know what I'm saying? Or either just love yourself. You don't need love from everything and everybody.
There must have been moments when you laughed at that irony a little bit because you're on stage singing songs almost like the greatest musical relationship guidance counselor there is on a stage at that moment for 10,000 people. And yet behind the scenes, things aren't going great for you at times.
Yeah.
And I always think that's got to be really tough as an artist when the expectation of what I want as a fan on that night for what I pay for versus what you're actually dealing with in real life.
My private trauma became a public display.
Right.
In many ways. And it's like, it's sometimes hard to like realize, wait a minute, this is really a traumatic thing that I'm singing about here, but we're all celebrating it.
Yes.
And we're enjoying it. And I love that because that means some real connection was there for my fans. Or this was a really great song that made people just enjoy the rhythms and the way I sang it. But I do feel like there is a soul at the center of it, and it was some of the things that I've experienced. Confessions was a collective that I go through each and everything that I talked about in some way. Maybe not exactly the way that I chose to narrate it so that other people can identify with it. These are the types of traumatic bruises, scars that we find in life that we have to manage to overcome. You overcome them by being able to vocalize them. Affirmations, we make magic with what we say. If you say something negative enough times, it will become true. If you say something positive enough times, you will find the light. But you have to find the light, my brother. You have to manage to get it out of your body and say, okay, I went through this is the truth. All right, love me or hate me, this is what it is, honey. You know what I'm saying? And will you love me? Can I have that unconditional love? Is that something that is a scar that is my own? That's the reflection of life that I think I ended up going through, when I got to looking for myself, or here I stand looking for myself and hard to love. Now, man, I am 100% like happy.
Yeah, every album is a stepping stone to coming home. That's the thing. Even when we think about Here I Stand, I think about that album and all the personal healing you had to do.
Yeah.
And what was going on in your family situation around that time as well.
Lost my father, which I had no relationship with him my entire life. And now I'm bringing a son into the world, and yet I'm not necessarily seeing what it is to have a relationship with a male in that way.
I've always wanted to ask you this, and I hope you take it in the nature in which it's intended, which is pure love and respect. But as someone who took your father's name and became successful with your father's name, but not knowing your father through a majority of that early wave of huge success, to come to a point where perhaps there's some resolution there or not, how that changed the way you felt about the way we see the name Usher.
Yeah, I know. And that's why I chose to do what I did, the way that I did it, because the definition that I had was not good enough for the 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old. I wanted to not be remembered as, oh yeah, that's little Usher's son, or that's Erky's son, which is what they named my dad. It's like, no, I'm not a basketball player. And no, I'm not a father or a person who abandoned his child. That's not who I am. This is who I am. And I'm gonna now find my definition. I'm gonna manage to make this name that is awkward as hell, because I don't know any other Ushers. I know another Zane, you know what I'm saying? I know another Bob, I know another, Jim, Bill. I even know another Idris, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know any Ushers other
It's
than
true.
the one
For the longest
that,
time, I thought I was the outlier with Zane, but turns out I know 2 other Zanes. It's true. There's a few.
So Usher, I was like, I gotta manage to make this name mean something. And I have to say I was blessed to have people who would profess things of positivity over my life. And they saw something in me that maybe I didn't recognize yet, because God was making his way through my gifts, talents,
Yeah.
my optimism, I was very happy as a kid and was always looking for like positivity and just into things and, you know, always trying to get more, go further, or try to, no, we can do this. We can, I was the culprit trying to figure out how to move things forward. But I had family members that, they spoke to me in a certain way. My cousin, Rico Spence, he gave me the name Big Time at the age of 1. And nobody in Chattanooga calls me Usher. They call me Big Time because that's my nickname. So I lived my entire life, I'm Big Time, And I believed that. And something in me made me feel, and he taught me hip hop. He taught me how to dance. He taught me what rap was. He taught me about culture. He taught me how to dress. He taught me what it was to be a man. I wouldn't be the man I am to this day without that one person, to be honest. All the other male influences that were actually fathers in a different way, but he was my cousin. And my cousin, he taught me what it was to be a solid dude. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful that he saw something in me and wanted me to be greater than the Usher that was my dad. So it then gave me some motivation. I was given a kickstart. Like Big Time was a kickstart, right?
Sure, that's the reason too. I'm sure it's like, look, let's get this guy on the road in the right way.
Well, let's at least be, something about me obviously made him say that.
Yeah.
And, I just decided I'm gonna continue to make the most of every experience that I have and make Usher mean something other than what it meant to me.
And I see Usher now on the artwork. I see Coming Home. I think of this album. I think of every album reflecting this wild, wonderful life you've led through, like you said, the ups and the downs that make a perfect narrative at the end of it all. And I think what Coming Home must represent to you right now is just a joy to listen to.
Yeah.
Just the way you sound as well. Like the performance on this album, like cold-blooded, like vocally, like that's a raw song.
Yeah, man,
Powerful.
Cold-blooded it was really special. I think that The Dream is really a special dude.
Agreed.
We have a really great relationship and bond, and he really pushed me. He pushed me to say things and be honest.
And reach a place in the way you're singing it, which is like,
Yeah.
it ain't performative. It's like pure guttural, like
Honest.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have loved you like I did.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have loved
It
you.
cuts
Maybe
to
I
the bone.
should have stopped at a good time. You know how many pretty eyes and pretty thighs I done seen? Like, man, just, you mad at me. This is the truth. I made you feel like it was really about you. It's riveting. But now I'm beginning to see a different world, And I'm realizing that, wait a minute, so you're not okay with no, but you're okay with yes. You're not gonna hear yes all the time. And, to go from warm-hearted to cold-blooded is a real thing. It's a vicious thing that then happens in relationships, and it begins to create real dissension between, child and parent. And that's the deeper part of it. But, that kind of trauma is really harmful to our kids. But it's a reality of what we as men deal with our ex-wives or, our ex-relationships. They get mad, man, and they're just trying to kill you. It's just like, wait a minute. Whoa, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to be a man that loves my kids. And we had a beautiful moment together, but it wasn't forever. Some things are intended for a reason, a season, but this wasn't a lifetime.
But you've been able to mature through the whole experience of falling in love and falling out of love and being able to honor your role in the dissolution of it as well, which I think is a big part of it, right?
It becomes good, but not good. So, tying it together, you know what I'm saying? But
there's a lot of maturity, man. It comes through on this record for sure. And it's a very now record for where you are in your life, it would seem, at 45 years old, with 2, new children, young.
yeah, Great
you know,
partner.
great partner,
Yeah.
great team around you,
Yep.
good relationship with your older kids.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I
Great
mean,
relationship with them.
yeah.
Even though they analyze everything that I do and tell me that I should be doing more.
Yeah.
Like they're the greatest A&Rs and also two
Yeah.
executives
It's
that
why
I have.
it's identity forming. They have to do it. You know, we play a different role for a few years as parents.
Yeah.
You know, where we just become this kind of scratching post. But
Right.
that's okay.
I used to be super cool to you. Now you just analyze everything that I do
come
and I
back
can't
around.
get nothing right.
They'll come back around.
Yeah,
You'll hit that legendary status pretty soon.
yeah.
But it's also got a huge amount of like tempo and energy to it. I think about a song like Kissing Strangers.
Mm-hmm.
I love that song.
Rest in peace, Bugsby, who delivered an amazing record. I think I came up with this record maybe, I don't know, it was years ago. And we developed, worked it. And just, you know, once I was ready to put it out, I wasn't willing to let it go. I just feel like it's that special of a song. It's a song that I think speaks to, you know, the world that I have been able to reach and expand to see and experience. And the messaging in the song, the fact that, you know, during that, you know, kind of down period where I was single, I found myself reflecting like, man, how do I go from strangers kissing to kissing strangers? Like, you know, and then it's over. I'm just trying to, you know, sex it away. I'm trying my hardest to connect it away. You know, maybe there's this vice that allows me to just forget about what I really feel. It's a real emotion. It's a real thing that I think people do experience.
Oh, that's self-destruction by distraction.
There you go.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
You know, and people do it in all kinds of different ways.
Yeah.
You were in it.
Yeah. I got in it. And thank God I got out of it.
Yeah. How?
How did I get out of it? I wanted to. I wanted something. I wanted a deeper connection with myself. So I disconnected from the world. I kind of went away. I went to Africa. I went to India. I just began to, you know, just really reflect and, you know, not necessarily take a religious journey, but more a spiritual, personal journey, a healing personal journey.
Did you feel invisible in a good way?
I did. Thank God. I was able to kind of move around in some way. You said feel invisible as I went there, or feel invisible because I had created this dynamic and this thing that I thought I only was.
No, going away.
Going away, yeah. Going away, yeah, man. I was able to be around people who didn't see the artist that I was.
Yeah.
I was able to go and be in villages with kids who just wanted to celebrate and, you know, draw patterns on the ground. And I didn't understand that culture or, you know, really enjoy and love, you know, nature. We would go, you know, and I was just like, man, look at these people here. They don't have all of the things that we have. They literally are just happy.
Was it the first time in your life since you started that you either hadn't been working, achieving, succeeding, protecting success, or trying to make relationships work?
That was the first time that I was really taking time for myself. You know, I don't remember a time that I wasn't, to be honest, before then.
Did it simplify things?
Well, I just had a problem at that time being alone. I would go from relationship to relationship to relationship, never having a break. And then that was that time where I was like, I don't really want to be in a relationship. I just want to love me. And I want to know me without the influence of someone else. I prefer to be alone. This singular moment gives me the ability to create true foundation to stand on. And from that, I built the foundation that I'm standing on now.
One of them ones, that song at the end, classic, D-Mile You, the whole
Yeah, buddy.
thing, man. Just those chords must just be a joy to lean into. And
I managed in this career to connect to every experience, just about every experience there is. And marriage is one. Connection and appreciation for your partner is one.
yeah,
Songs like Here I Stand and Here I Stand, the album, there were several of those records. Songs like Matrimony that I did with Wale was a song like that. One of Them Ones is a song like that. It is a song that you play at that moment.
Yeah.
You know, I've had thoughts.
There's not a lot of cerebral activity going on there.
Yeah.
It's just joy and feeling, right?
Yeah, that is. That moment is really about that real connection when you really found like one of them ones. You know, like this right here, this that shit, you know what I'm saying? That's gonna have you in your feelings, you know what I mean? You literally, you know, are trying to figure out how to be great for that one because they only want you to be great. They only want you to be your best self. They only want you to rise to the highest of your vibration.
Doesn't it feel like that's kind of where you are now across the board? Like, I think about the positive energy and the good-natured response to the Super Bowl announcement, the way that everyone flocked to Vegas for 100 shows sold out to see this, the reaction I saw in Paris. I just feel like everybody just kind of wants you to be at your best, right? Like, no more drama, to quote a great artist.
I think the world gravitates towards what they can be familiar with, and everybody needs a bit of drama. It neutralizes life. It then makes it seem as though we're not alone because we can identify with things. Well, we can do that on the other side as well if we choose to share it. And it's all really in the idea of how you choose to curate it, right? Is Burn really a good song or a bad song? Is it about a good experience or a bad experience? Is Confessions really a good song or a bad song? It brings joy. Is Yeah really a good or a bad song? It's about, you know what I'm saying? So it all depends on how you choose to pick it up. And this place that I'm at in my life has given me enough time to, reflect and be able to now share those things in these songs with this album that I'm offering. Being able to, as I said, find someone, a relationship that I feel is offering true love. Love that is, the expectation of it is a good one. One that says, I want you to be your best. I want you to be at your best. I want you to know who you are. I don't want you to look for who you are. I want you to know who you are. And my partner, Jen, she's a remarkable woman. Not only because she blessed me with two incredible, beautiful children, but also too because she loves my older boys as though they're her own. She works along daily trying to figure out how to manage the relationship between me and my ex-wife, and the rest of my family. She's mindful of all things and a rational thinker. But, I'm very happy for the partnership that I have. And as I said, as a result of the personal work that I was able to do, it then led me to a partner that was there with me all the time. She was my best friend. I never thought I would have fallen in love with my best friend, but I did. She was right there. We never messed around, nothing like that. It literally was like, wait a minute, you? Wait a minute, yes, you. But it inspired some of the songs on this album. That relationship has been one that I'm very, very proud of. And I'm very excited about our future together.
You're happy.
I'm very happy.